In ancient Egypt, the pharaoh was the bridge between the world of humans and that of the divine. As king of Egypt, he was considered a living god. It was in 1279 BC, 1,000 years after the pyramids and 1,000 years before Cleopatra. An Egyptian pharaoh, Seti I, had died, and his son, destined for unimaginable greatness, was about to succeed the throne. At dawn, on the 27th day of the third month of summer, Ramses II, not yet 30, became king of Egypt. The pharaoh, chosen one of the sun god Re, the third pharaoh of the 19th dynasty. When he ascended to the throne, Egypt was emerging from a period of instability, and her borders were at risk. Ramses fought back invaders on all sides and expanded Egypt's territory. His greatest challenge, the Battle of Kadesh against the rival Hittite Empire, where he fought bravely, even in hand-to-hand combat. Declaring himself the victor, Ramses celebrated the story on temples throughout Egypt. He documented it in such detail that the Battle of Kadesh is considered the most famous battle of the ancient world. Under the wise and effective rule of Ramses, Egypt enjoyed prosperity. A measure of this wealth, the remarkable temples he commissioned throughout the land, becoming one of Egypt's greatest builders. By carving his name and his likeness on them, he ensured that he would never be forgotten. At Abu Simbel, Ramses also built a temple carved out of sandstone cliffs to honor his first love and queen, Nefertari. Dedicating it to her, he inscribed on the facade, "For whom the sun shines." When Ramses died, he was over 90 years old, had fathered over 100 children, and reigned for nearly 67 years. Few could remember a time in Egypt ruled by any other pharaoh with reverence. His body was prepared for the afterlife, and his mummy enshrined in the Valley of the Kings. But less than 200 years later, his tomb was plundered by the Mars. The centuries it was ravaged by floods and filled with debris. His remains and all the riches sent with him to his afterlife were thought to be lost forever. Join us now to experience the life of King Ramses II, the Pharaoh of Pharaohs, who epitomizes power and wealth at the height of ancient Egypt. Discover the grandeur and opulence of his world, the world of Egypt's kings. Meet Ramses the Great and marvel at the gold of the pharaohs.
Honey.
Found in a modest wooden coffin were the mummies of some of the new kingdom's greatest rulers, as Ramses the Great. The riches His tomb, though, had been plundered. Ramses' tomb was found empty. Now, 3,000 years after his death, we will give him a virtual reburial using objects and items from the only intact tomb of a pharaoh, Tutankhamun's. With a reign 7 times longer than Tut's, Ramses' tomb and burial items had surely far surpassed anything you will see here. First, his mummy is carefully wrapped in linen bandages. Amulets and gold jewels are placed between the layers of linen wraps, and spells are chanted to activate them. Each item has an ordained divine purpose: eternal life, protection, stability, rejuvenation. They ensure his passage through the dangerous netherworld to the afterlife. Now a god, the king's mummy is adorned with gold, the flesh of the gods. At the burial, a priest performs the opening of the mouth ceremony to allow Ramses to breathe, eat, drink, and speak as he travels to the afterlife. For protection from thieves and underworld demons, and to denote his divine status, his mummy is placed in multiple coffins and shrines. Finally, his tomb is sealed after it's been packed with everything a king needs for a glorious afterlife. Ramses' immortality is assured. The name of the greatest of all the pharaohs will live forever.
Honey.
Ramses celebrated the story on temples throughout Egypt. He documented it in such detail that the Battle of Kadesh is considered the most famous battle of the ancient world. Under the wise and effective rule of Ramses, Egypt enjoyed prosperity. A measure of this the remarkable temples he commissioned throughout the land, becoming one of Egypt's greatest builders. By carving his name and his likeness on them, he ensured that he would never be forgotten. He ensured that he would never be forgotten. He ensured that he would never be forgotten. Power and wealth at the height of ancient Egypt. grandeur and opulence of this world, the world of Egypt's kings. Meet Ramses the Great and marvel at the gold of the pharaohs, the gold of the pharaohs, the gold of the pharaohs.
AM Janitorial and Maintenance Aid Services, your go-to commercial cleaning services specialist, serving the entire San Francisco Bay Area. We are licensed, insured, and bonded. We offer reliability, excellent customer service, and the highest level of professionalism to every client. We specialize in general cleaning services, commercial cleaning, post-construction cleanups, and much more. Contact us today for your free quote at amjms.com. That's amjms.com for first-class commercial cleaning services at cost-effective rates. amjms.com.
Honey.
In the 1960s, to save it from flooding by the Asiatic Light, Egyptians have literally united its Ramses in the crowd. Was carved into the system and relocated to Brighton Ground. 10 years later, his mummy traveled to France for an exhibition at the Grand Palais in Paris. As greeted with the honors of the head of state entered and cast his knowledge and clusters of the world. And before his body was returned to Egypt, scores of scientists and doctors devoted 7 months to preserving his mummy with cutting-edge technology.
The coffin and canopy coffinettes of Sheshonq the Saint. After Osiris was murdered, his sister wife, Isis, gathered the scattered pieces of his body and wrapped them in linen bandages, enabling him to be reborn. In death, all pharaohs became Osiris. By mummifying their bodies, embalmers and priests ensured their transition from mortal to immortal. To help preserve the body, embalmers removed the deceased internal organs and mummified them separately. They were often kept in sets of 4 canopic jars. Sheshonq II's splendid human-shaped silver coffinettes are unusually luxurious.
marker. Now sound.
Lead from the hawk-headed coffin of Shashank II. Silver, third intermediate period, 22nd Dynasty, Egyptian Museum.
Marker. Now sound. Marker. Now sound. 3 marker. 3 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 marker. Now sound. 3 marker DJ Beat Sniper. Now song. DJ Beat Sniper. Now song.
A master of self-promotion, Ramses carved his cartouche everywhere, claiming ownership of buildings and statues regardless of whether he actually built them or not. His name appears on more buildings and monuments than that of any other pharaoh. Upper part of an obelisk inscribed for Ramses II. Red granite, modern gilded tip, New Kingdom, 19th Dynasty, Egyptian Museum. Quote, the obelisk was usurped by Ramses.
His legacy and reputation inspired 9 future kings of the 20th dynasty to take his name. He remains Egypt's greatest pharaoh. Years after his death, Ramses II's monumental legacy lives on. He remains Egypt's greatest pharaoh and attracted crowds from across the globe. A great builder, a warrior, a husband, a king. Speaks of all the pharaohs. When 19th century travelers and archaeologists visited these temples, they ignited a Western fascination with Egyptian art and culture. One Colossus, bristled to London by a treasure hunter, gave Ramses an international sensation. He remains Egypt's greatest pharaoh.
Upper part of a colossus of Ramses II, limestone, New Kingdom, 19th Dynasty, Sham el-Sheikh Museum.
February 2021, in Cairo, in the spotlight once again. Ramses' journey through the capital to his new home at the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization. After his death, Ramses became immortal. His legacy and reputation inspired 9 future kings of the 20th dynasty to take his name. He remains Egypt's greatest pharaoh. After his death, Ramses became immortal. The most famous of all the pharaohs, the one whose name will live forever.
Honey.
Stay tuned for the next AM Dynasty broadcast presentation. We debut part 5 and part 6 of Ramses, Field General. Only on AM Dynasty.
Honey.
King Ramses II and his Egyptian forces are on the march. Their aim, to seize control of the city-state of Kadesh from their rival, the Hittite kingdom, and expand Egypt's borders. The Hittite king amasses his army, a coalition of tens of thousands of fierce warriors from allied territories, and also moves toward Kadesh. Egyptian accounts say the Hittites covered the mountains and filled the valleys and were like locusts in their numbers. King Ramses is woefully outnumbered, but he is not one to back down. Among his troops are warriors from his previous conquests, Nubians, Libyans, and Sheridan pirates. Just hours from their target, Ramses receives intel that the Hittites are still several days' journey away. He decides to make camp with his Amun division. His other battalions, including an elite force from Amuru, are still hours away. Ramses will launch his attack once the rest of his army arrives. But his plan is soon foiled. Near camp, Ramses' guards interrogate 2 Hittite defectors. They reveal the Hittite army is actually in hiding just across the river. Suddenly, the Hittites' chariots smash into Ramses' rain division. In the melee, the Egyptians flee and lead the Hittites directly into the sanctuary of the Egyptian king. Ramses faces thousands of enemy charioteers. The pharaoh fights bravely, his pet lion at his side, while the Hittite king is in safety on the other side of the river. The battle rages, and the Hittites take victory. Ramses' elite warriors arrive, giving the king's power to wage a counterattack. Unleashing a fury of arrows, the Egyptians force the Hittites back across the river. Ramses himself describes the scene. I made them plunge into the water like crocodiles. Those who fell down did not rise. Most of the Hittite force drowned or are killed, including the king's brother. The Hittite king calls for a truce. To count the dead, Ramses' soldiers remove a hand from each fallen Hittite. And King Ramses rides away from the field of battle, declaring himself the victor. A Hittite version of the story suggests the battle was at best a draw. 17 years after the Battle of Kadesh, King Ramses signed a treaty with the Hittites. it ushered in a peace that lasted nearly a century. It is the first peace treaty recorded in history and remains the basis for treaties between nations today. King Ramses believed his victory at Kadesh was the greatest achievement of his reign. He celebrated it in extraordinary detail on temples throughout Egypt, making it the most famous battle of the ancient world. In the pharaoh's own words, I found the enemy chariots scattering before my horses. I slaughtered them at my will. Behold, I am victorious. Me alone.
Honey.
Ramses II and his Egyptian forces are on the march. Their aim, to seize control of the city-state of Kadesh from their rival, the Hittite kingdom, and expand Egypt's borders. The Hittite king amasses his army, a coalition of tens of thousands of fierce warriors from allied territories, and also moves toward Kadesh. Egyptian accounts say the Hittites covered the mountains and filled the valleys and were like locusts in their numbers. King Ramses is woefully outnumbered, but he is not one to back down. Among his troops are warriors from his previous conquests, Nubians, Libyans, and Sheridan pirates. Just hours from their target, Ramses receives intel that the Hittites are still several days' journey away. He decides to make camp with his Amun division. His other battalions, including an elite force from Amun, are still hours away. Ramses will launch his attack once the rest of his army arrives. But his plan is soon foiled. Near camp, Ramses' guards interrogate two Hittite defectors. They reveal the Hittite army is actually in hiding just across the river. Suddenly, the Hittites' chariots smash into Ramses' raid division. In the melee, the Egyptians flee and lead the Hittites directly into the sanctuary of the Egyptian king. Ramses faces thousands of enemy charioteers. His army fights bravely, his pet lion on sides, while the Hittite king is in safety on the other side of the river. The battle rages, and the Hittites sense victory. Ramses' elite warriors arrive, giving their king the power to wage a counterattack. Unleashing a fury of arrows, the Egyptians force the Hittites back across the river. Ramses himself describes the scene. I made them plunge into the water like crocodiles. Those who fell down did not rise. Most of the Hittite force drowned or are killed, including the king's brother. The Hittite king calls for a truce. To count the dead, Ramses' soldiers remove a hand from each fallen Hittite. And King Ramses rides away from the field of battle, declaring himself the victor. A Hittite version of the story suggests the battle was at best a draw. 17 years after the Battle of Kadesh, King Ramses signed a treaty with the Hittites. It ushered in a peace that lasted nearly a century. It is the first peace treaty recorded in history and remains the basis for treaties between nations today. King Ramses believed his victory at Kadesh was the greatest achievement of his reign. He celebrated it in extraordinary detail on temples throughout Egypt, making it the most famous battle of the ancient world. In the pharaoh's own words, I found the enemy chariots scattering before my horses. I slaughtered them at my will. Behold, I am victorious. Me alone.
honey.
University of Alabama in Birmingham. My name is Lee Naves, and it's